Jay?
Berkshire's cash and treasury bill holdings are approaching $100 billion. Warren, a year ago, you said Berkshire might increase its minimum valuation for share buybacks above 1.2 times book value if this occurred. What are your latest thoughts on raising the share repurchase threshold?
Yeah, when the time comes, and it could come reasonably soon, even while I'm around, but we really don't think we can get the money out in a reasonable period of time into things we like. We have to re-examine then what we do with those funds that we don't think can be deployed well. And at that time, it would make a decision, and it might include both, but it could be repurchases, it could be dividends. There are different inferences that people draw from a dividend policy than from a repurchase policy, that in terms of expectations that you won't cut a dividend and that sort of thing. So you have to factor that all in. But if we felt that we had cash that was unlikely to be used, excess cash, in a reasonable period of time, and we thought repurchases at a price that was still attractive to continuing shareholders was feasible in a substantial sum, that could make a lot of sense. At the moment, we're still optimistic enough about deploying the capital that we wouldn't be inclined to move to a price much closer, where there's only a narrow spread between an intrinsic value and the repurchase price. But at a point, the burden of proof is definitely on us. I mean, the last thing we like to do is own something at 100 times earnings where the earnings can't grow. I mean, as you point out, we've got almost $100 billion. It's $90+ billion invested in a business, we'll call it a business, where we're paying almost 100 times earnings, and it's kind of a lousy business.
It's more after tax earnings.
Yeah, so we don't like that, and we shouldn't use your money that way for a long period of time. And then the question is, are we going to be able to deploy it? And I would say that history is on our side, but it'd be more fun if the phone would ring instead of just relying on history books. And I am sure that sometime in the next 10 years, and it could be next week or it could be 9 years from now, there will be markets in which we can do intelligent things on a big scale. But it would be no fun if that happens to be 9 years off, and I don't think it will be, but just based on how humans behave and how governments behave and how the world behaves. But like I say, at a point, the burden of proof really shifts to us big time. And there's no way I can come back here 3 years from now and tell you that we hold $150 billion or so in cash or more, and we think we're doing something brilliant by doing it. Charlie?
Well, I agree with you. The answer is maybe.
He does have a tendency to elaborate. Station 11.
Thank you, Mr. Buffett and Mr. Munger. I am Anil Narang from Short Hills, New Jersey and New Delhi, India. This is my 18th time to this wonderful event, and profoundly thank you for your extraordinary wisdom, generosity, and time. As I'm involved with sustainable investments that also do not directly harm animals, I would appreciate your perspective, if any, on the practices of your CTB subsidiary, which is somewhat involved in pig, poultry, and egg production. Somewhat indirectly related, as you shared your concern on nuclear war extensively at the last annual meeting, I would love to pick your brain on Albert Schweitzer's Nobel Peace Prize acceptance speech shortly after the first nuclear bombs were detonated, that compassion can attain its full breadth and depth if it is not limited to humans only? Thank you.
Well, that's a pretty broad question. I would say on your first point, we have a subsidiary, CTB, run by Vic Mancinelli. And I sit down with him once a year, and he's a terrific manager. He's one of our very best. You don't hear much about him. And they do make the equipment for poultry growers. And I can't answer your question specifically, but I would be glad to have you get in contact with Vic directly, because I know that what question you raise is it's a major factor in what they do. I mean, they do care about how the equipment is used in terms of poultry and egg production, and as you know, a number of the largest purchasers and the largest producers are also in the same camp. But I can't tell you enough about it directly that I can give you a specific answer, but I can certainly put you in touch with Vic, and I think you would find him extremely well informed and doing some very good things in the area that you're talking about. In terms of the nuclear weapon question, I'm very pessimistic on weapons of mass destruction generally, although I don't think that nuclear probably is quite as likely as either biological, primarily biological, maybe, and maybe cyber. I don't know that much about cyber, but I do think that's the number one problem of mankind. But I don't think I can say anything particularly constructive on it now. Charlie?
Well, I don't think we mind killing chickens. And I do think we're against nuclear war, so.
Yeah. We are not actually a poultry producer, but we do. They use our equipment, and that equipment has been changed substantially in the last 10 or 15 years. But again, I'm not that good on the specifics that I can give them to you, but I can certainly put you in touch with Vic. Andrew?
Warren, since Todd and Ted joined Berkshire, the market cap of the company has doubled, and cash on hand is now nearly $100 billion. It doesn't look like Todd and Ted have been allocated new capital on the same relative basis. Why?
Well, actually, I would say they have been. I think we started out with $2 billion. I could be wrong, but my memory was $2 billion with Todd when he came with us, and so there have been substantial additions, and of course, their own capital has grown just because, you can say in a sense, they retain their own earnings. So, yeah, they are managing a proportion of Berkshire's capital, or also measured by marketable securities. I think they're managing a proportion that's pretty similar, maybe even a little higher than when each one of them entered, and Ted entered a year or two after Todd. I think they would agree that it's tougher to run $10 billion than it is to run $1 or $2 billion. I mean, your expectable returns go down as you get into larger sums, but the decision to bring them on has been terrific. I mean, they've done a good job of managing marketable securities. They made more money than I would have made with that same what is now $20 billion, but originally was $2 billion, and they've been of terrific help in a variety of ways beyond just money management. So that decision, that's been a very, very good decision. And they're smart. They're good they have money minds. They are good specifically at investment management, but they're absolutely first-class human beings, and they really fit Berkshire. So that was Charlie gets credit for Todd. He met Charlie first, and I'll claim credit for Ted, and I think we both feel very good about the decisions. Charlie?
Well, I think the shareholders are very lucky to have them because they both think like shareholders.
Totally.
After all, it came up that way, and that is not the normal way headquarters employees think. It's a pretense that everybody takes on, but the reality is different. And these people really deeply think like shareholders, and they're young and smart and constructive. So we're all very lucky to have them around.
Yeah, their mindset is 100%. What can I do for Berkshire? Not what can Berkshire do for me? And believe me, you can spot that over time with people. And on top of that, they're very talented. But it's hard to find people young, ambitious, very smart, that don't put themselves first. And every experience we've had, they do not put themselves first. They put Berkshire first. And believe me, I can spot it when people are extreme in one direction or other. Maybe I'm not so good around the middle, but you couldn't have two better people in those positions. But you can say, well, why don't you give them another $30 billion each or something? I don't think that would improve their lives or their performance.